Мы продолжаем нашу утреннюю сессию, и я с удовольствием передаю слово Сузанне Шидлíkovой, куратору музея дизайна Словакия. Пожалуйста, Зузанна.
Okay, so now it's good. I would like to tell you something about Slovak Design Museum in Bratislava. It's a quite new museum. It was established in 2014, and a large part of the museum's collection comes from donations from designers and their clients. You might ask why that happened so late. After the dissolution of Czechoslovakia, an arts and crafts museum was absent in Slovakia. The long-standing pressure of the professional community was significant, as they have been watching the fast disappearance of design heritage, but also the disappearance of industrial enterprises and thus also their production. So you can see the pictures of our museum. Gallery depository, that's the building, that's our main space. And you can see something from depository because we have different kind of collection, product design, graphical design, electronic, furniture. These are my colleagues. That's acquisition commission. Okay, thank you. Okay. And you can see something from first picture from fashion collection. That's our gallery. The Slovak Design Museum is administrated by Slovak Design Center and currently has 4 internal curators and several external collaborators. Fashion and textile collection. How and where? That is the question. The collection consists mainly of Czechoslovak production, or production from our territory from 1900 to the present. The collection takes into account manufacturers, designers, and time of creation, but also the development of materials, technology, and so on. The industrial production is as important as the design created by individual authors or prototype design. The museum also collects various textile and fashion samplers, fashion drawings, and fashion photography as complementary material. Fashion and textile collection of Slovak Design Museum has mainly constituted thanks to donations. I use different ways to acquiring clothes into the collection, as the curator job is not only to wait for someone to bring something interesting to the museum. For example, this first picture, they are employers of the former largest knitwear business, meet every year in Banská Štiavnica and reflect on the golden era of that firm. It closed down in the 1990s. Upon my initiative, they have prepared a collection of clothing produced there for the museum. We also received a fantastic photography or photo documentation of the collection that was preserved by the former economist of that firm. They are old pictures. What is almost a miracle today to find something like this. Unfortunately, the state had no legal obligation to preserve such material on the verge of the collapse of those enterprises, and let's admit, not many people cared about fashion design from museums for perspectives in the period of dramatical economic turbulences. The research of fashion in socialist Czechoslovakia was mainly based on social research and oral history. The account of the fashion of the era had been preserved thanks to communication with designers, tailors, and their families, clients, fashion photographers, editors, and mannequins. Another picture of the dresses from our collection. I found it in cellar, private cellar. Some picture of what is behind the work. Of course, I met many people from this business, many tailors or children of these tailors. Mannequins, for example, because the oral history was an important part of this work. Of course, it was for me interesting also fashion advertising and image of the woman from different fashion magazines and posters. So another important part was fashion photography. For example, now I'm really interested in work of Karol Kalaj. So till end of the year, I will prepare a book with my colleague from Slovak National Gallery about him. And now the presentation provides information on 3 fashion exhibitions from our collection that I have prepared in recent years. I will point out the specific problem which occurred in those exhibitions and tell you how exhibitions of fashion can communicate with people. The first project the exhibition was preceded by 3 years long research of socialist Czechoslovakia, at which I have conducted at the Academy of Fine Arts and Design, and it resulted in a publication Stratená moda, or Lost Mode. That's the cover. And the exhibition, so long, was the most significant project in this content, and the exhibition, so long, was the most significant project in this content and long-term research. The exhibition was created in cooperation with Slovak Design Museum and Slovak National Gallery. It was the first fashion exhibition ever presented in a gallery that was and still is primarily dedicated to fine arts. Obtaining the collection of clothes and preparing the exhibition was in many ways risky. So what was exactly a research problem? Clothing is clearly very personal topic. Clothes are not only information about the individuals who wear them, about their taste, social and financial status, their attitude towards society, but they are also provide an overlap that could lead us to greater topics related to economic history. Obtaining clothes from people is quite bizarre thing, not only because you heard from many of them that if you came a year ago or a month ago, everything would have been different. They wouldn't have thrown this thing out, they wouldn't have let the moths eat them, or that the dress reminded them of their loved ones and their last physical impression. It happened to me several times that I couldn't get the garment from a beloved person for the collection just for sentimental reasons. Another major problem was the clothing industry itself. In Slovakia, we could say that the fashion and textile segment was highly traumatized. Trying to find out some information is also not always easy. I have often encouraged no interest to comment on the subject from the people who were involved with the industry. The textile and clothing industry in Czechoslovakia experienced a radical liquidation in the 1990s as the privatization process caused that the businesses were sold not for further development, but were systematically liquidated to acquire land or because of the buildings. And many of the involved people had to witness it and had no means to stop it. Undoubtedly, it is not easy to talk about this trauma. You can see more picture of the space or exhibition in the gallery. And of course, we can tell the question now, how to present relationship between fashion and communism. On the one hand, we touch the regime of totalitarianism. On the other hand, as in opposition, fashion represents the phenomenon of frivolity and independence. It presents a type of social game. Fashion is perceived instead as a superficial phenomenon, as a topic related to consumer society. Can it be the subject of some kind of intellectual analysis? And it is possible to talk about fashion during the period when the economy was planned. This connection alone can bring about the risk that any of the exhibited object could be criticized for mediating commemorative optimism. That's the reason why I thought that it was important to talk to the visitors through different layers, to talk into the production processes of several businesses, but also to reveal the personal stories of people who wore, presented, sold, and designed the clothes. My aim was not just to show transformation of fashion through contemporary silhouettes or technological innovation. Fashion is a phenomenon that touches everyone, and everybody understands it. And socialism is the time that many remember, maybe many from us. It's interesting that hardly anything touches us so immediately as a dress. That is why everyone remembers what he did not like to wear, what could not be bought, or vice versa, what was beautiful and that what reminds him of a happy picture of childhood. Many visitors were very sensitive to the choice of exhibits and disagreed with some of the choice of clothing or accessories. Their memory of the pieces of clothing were different. Another problem was fragmentariness. A considerable risk in building the collection for the museum and also in my research preparing the exhibition was the fragmentariness of the preserved resources and therefore missing information. It regards missing brands and types of clothing, drawings, and fashion photography in museums or galleries. Material that was in every household 10 to 20 years ago was almost impossible to find it today. What was mundane fashion quite recently, as if it did not exist anymore. Another problems are holes in economic history research. I realized during my research that in Slovakia there are many topics of economic history that have still not been researched, or there was no or only minimal academic discussion on the topic. This is concerns, for example, the topic of nationalization, which was extremely painful. In an effort to gain insight into the subject, I came across many questions that remained unanswered. Likewise, the issue of trade within the COMECON, like an Eastern country, and trade with the West, the theme of corporate innovation, or the system of purchasing raw material, and so on. The exhibition presented not only the clothing collection, but it was important for us to present photographs, drawings, posters, and documentary materials such as portrait photography, nationalization documents, production patterns. The exhibition was also supplemented by films illustrating prototypes of an ideal socialist woman, contemporary fashion advertising, and also about contemporary fashion magazines. We try to show not only great history, politics, and economics processes, but also small history through personalities, actors, designers, or mannequins. They were introduced with a desire to showcase the beauty regardless of the political regime. This is one from many projects with the audience. It was discussion with all designers from more companies. And another second project, what we opened last year, it's called 100 Years of Design in Slovakia, and its permanent exhibition is still open in our museum now. The aim of the exhibition was to present the collection that were acquired within 4 years of the museum's existence. I worked together with other curators and was responsible for textile and fashion design. The concept was a matter of a compromise, and we decided to present collection according to specific topics and materials. The exposition has an exclusive website there where the visitor can find all the objects and read about them in more depth. This is, you can see just one example of this website, and it's available also from home, so you can read about the object, because every object was prepared with photography and presented on this website. The duration of the exhibition was set at 2 years. The aim was to create an exposition that would make our collection visible. It is intended for all ages that want to get an overview of Slovak design between 1918 and 2018, so 100 years, last 100 years. This is the other part. To emphasize the differences in fashion information, in one on the exposition section, I tried to present particular types of clothes. Okay, this is the first one. In a pair. For example, clothes for skiing, you can see the two examples. Evening dresses, swimwear, knitwear, handbags, shoes, and so on. However, each of the garments was realized in a different time, divided to several decades, and the visitor could see the changes in patterns, material, or technology. Shoes and bags, you can see this on the picture. Also changes in fashion photography, it's a little bit small. This part, it was about textile industry and bags, you can see this on the picture. Also changes in fashion photography, it's a little bit small. This part, it was about textile industry in Slovakia. It presented several factories that have produced the fabrics in the last 100 years, as well as several designers who have been involved in the fabric design. Many from this fabric collapsed, and this is the last example of the production, we can say. Or another example. Another section I created at the exhibition called From Needle to Trade. My aim was to present to the structure of various sectors of the domestic textile industry. And about every company and every piece you can read information about this website. So it was not a big place, so it was very complicated to put every object to this place, what should present design from last 100 years, but information system was quite full, can we say. And last project, what I wanted to present is exhibition now in Slovak National Museum, and the name is Have No Fear of Modernism. It's 19th anniversary of the establishment of the School of Arts and Crafts. The School of Arts and Crafts was an important pedagogical institution that is considered to be the birthplace of development of modern design in our country. It was founded in 1928 and only operated 14 years. It was shut down when Slovakia was under the fascist operation In Slovakia, the school is often considered to be the Slovak Bauhaus. We can see only a smart part of the fashion and textile department, led by the teacher and artist František Mali. It represents the period before World War II, and the main problem with that is that many exhibits from the students no longer exist, or we only know about them from drawings and reproductions in magazines. Therefore, the intention of the curator was also not investigate how the school department work, what activities and courses the students had. However, the goal was also to make copies of some of the products according to drawings or photographs in the magazines. This is one example. It's a new dress. It was a copy from one magazine made by fashion designer Maria Šidlíková, and for example, another picture. Woven handbags were realized by students at the Academy of Fine Arts and Design. So it was cooperation. So to conclude this presentation, I would tell fashion exhibitions have become very attractive in European museums in recent years. They raise visitors' rate significantly. Until recently, the common and ground level topic, fashion is presented in a new context and content and in a new formal ways. It offers visitors the feeling that they understand the topic and they are part of the story. Or at least our ancestors were part of it. Clothes are imprints of humans. They reflect their desires, and with the correct conception of the exhibition, they can point to the position of the people in society. And then that is certainly an attractive source of information. And then that is certainly an attractive source of information for curator also. So thank you.